Welcome to Inking on the Fly with me, Amy Jasper, here in Canada. I have a pretty cool card, if I may say so myself, to share with you today. This is a locking card. I have seen a few of these floating around on the interwebs, and so I thought I'd give it a try myself. And mine has a little bit of a variation because I've used the basic borders dies for my edge, which is a little bit different. And I have a pretty flower that can slide to the left, and then you can open your card and it locks. When you slide that flower back to the right, it locks that card and keeps it from opening. So it's kind of a secret little way to open the card, and I thought that was really cool and very pretty, so I thought we would give that a try. Now, when I designed this card, I failed to realize that the punch used for the sliding mechanism has retired. Stampin' Up! Does not have this classic label punch available anymore for us to use. So part of this video I will show you an alternative way. It's a little more fussy than using the punch. The punch certainly is easier to use than the alternative way, but you might even find other ways. But my alternative involves a die instead of a punch, so it's a little bit fussier. But let's get started. I'm going to show you how to make this card start to finish. So this card is going to begin with a piece of basic black cardstock. This is 11 inches long and 5.5 inches tall. So what we're going to do with that is take our Simply Scored tool or whatever scoring options you may have, and we're going to place our paper in there like so, and we're going to score at 4 1/8 and 8 3/8. And then this section over here is going to be that flap that's going to fold over the front. So this is where I would then take, let's put this out of the way here. I would then take my basic borders dies. These are new from Stampin' Up! And I will choose which tool I wish to use. For this card I used this 45-degree angle stitched element, but any of these would work. You just need to cut an edge. Now keep in mind which way, when you're cutting with a die that has a stitched edge like this one, you want to make sure that you're cutting on the side that you want to cut on, because we're going to angle it. So because I want this to fold over, this is the front. So I'm going to flip it over this way. So now I know this is the front, that it's going to fold over our card, and I can take my die, and I have chosen to cut it. I already have one cut, so I can show you. I've chosen to cut it so it's smaller, a smaller width from that score line to the edge of my paper on the bottom than it is on the top, just to give a bit of interest, I guess. You could have it exactly, like try to get it exactly the same, but I guess doing it this way also prevents me or saves me from having to try to make it perfectly even. So it's an intentionally not even cut. So that's what I did there. So then you run that through your cut and emboss machine. And you end up with this. And then this is when the punch comes in. So if you are someone who got my kit in the mail, then you will already have yours punched, which is handy because you probably can't get the punch right now unless you already have it. So we're going to start by first punching this edge here to create our initial hole. And there, that's the way I want. So what I'm going to do is take my punch. If you have the classic punch, then this is what you would do. If you don't have it, you may have something else that has just a straight line punch like this with a narrow space. What I like about this one is that I can use a large dimensional, and the dimensional shape fits so nicely in this punch. So what I did was, this is the bottom of my card. So I push the punch all the way up so that it can't go up any higher. And then I slide it over, and keeping it parallel with the bottom of the card, I'm going to cut, I might want a little less. I'm going to cut a little slit like that. And then I want to make a slit on the front of my card, which is this side. So let's go ahead and fold. Which side am I on the right side? Yes, it's hard to see sometimes with the black. So then I can fold it, use my scoring tool, make sure everything's straight, fold this one over as well, make sure it's all straight. And then I can take a pencil, I'll zoom in for you here. I can take my pencil and just trace the inside of that hole onto the front of my card. Then I can open it up. And then I can use my punch again, using that as my guide. But I know I can push it all the way up because that's what I did on the other one, the other side already. And then I can slide it so that it's in the same spot as my pencil mark. And then that will line up. So that's pretty cool. Now, if you have the punch, then I could have, because I have the punch, I could have put my designer series paper on first, then did all that and punched through both layers. But because I sent a kit out to everybody, I know you don't, many of you don't have the punch. So I did this for you if you had a kit. And then what you can do is attach your piece of, oh my goodness, I'm not going to remember the name. I thought I had it in my head. Pattern Party Patterns. I don't remember the name of the paper that I'm using. So this is a pack of designer series paper that is available to hosts only. So if you host a party, you can get this paper with your host rewards. So $24 worth of your host rewards will get you the Pattern Party 12 by 12 designer series paper. It's 48 sheets of paper for each of 12 different designs, and most of it's quite cheerful. One side is all black and the other has the pattern, or colors on it. Okay, so if you have a kit, we're going to do it this way. We're going to adhere this to, no, we're not. Forgive me. It's been a while since I actually did this card. Okay, what we're going to do actually is we need to cut this hole in, and it has to match, which can be a bit of a challenge. So what we're going to do is kind of lay it on the front, hold it in place carefully, flip it over, and then we can do the same like we did before. I'm worried that I didn't flip that right, so I'm going to do it again. I'm worried that I didn't hold it well enough. So hold it with on two sides on the corners, and you're probably better off there. There we go. So then I can take my pencil just like we did before, but this time we're doing it on the designer series paper that's underneath. So then I have my marks on my paper, and then I can take my paper snips, and I found that because this is striped paper, I can, instead of trying to cut around this and make it all nice and tidy and even on the inside, I can cut straight through, especially if I'm on the black section, which this side is. So I can cut straight through, cut on the outside of your pencil mark. And these paper snips are fabulous because they're sharp all the way to the tip, making it a lot easier to cut. And again, if you have the punch, you can do your pencil mark and actually just punch it with the punch. There we go. So you can see I went through the black, but when it's together, you can almost not even tell that there's a cut in that. So then we can glue that to our card front. So let's go ahead and do that. And I like my Tombow liquid glue for projects, for almost anything really, but with this kind of thing, when you have a hole in your designer series paper that needs to line up with another hole, then the Tombow liquid glue is nice because it gives you that time to shift it into position if you miss your mark. So then I can put that on there and line it up with the hole. And if you don't have the punch, you can either use your paper trimmer and cut a section. It's a bit fussy to do that. Or you can use, there's not very many options, oddly, with Stampin' Up! Supplies, but the Stitch So Sweetly dies has this one die here that is a label die, and it has a stitched edge, which is kind of fun because it can work really nicely with this stitched looking edge as well. And I have one here that I did. So I basically did the same thing except with the die. So I started out, in this case, I didn't use a border punch or a border edge die, the basic borders die, just to save time. It would have looked really cool with the stitching, and I might add a stitched edge. Not sure what I have, but anyway, I chose to just do an angled cut, which gives you some more options with this card design. But I used my die, that die, with my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Blech. And then I glued my paper down, folded this over, made my pencil mark, and then opened this all the way up and ran both of those layers through with the die on top. And I used a sticky note just to hold the die in place so it wouldn't shift. And it's a little wider, you can see, than the classic label punch, but that's okay. You just, the next step, you would use more dimensionals than on this card, which I'll show you as well once we get to that step. Okay, next step on this card. Let's go ahead and put our inside piece in. So I just have a piece of basic white, and this measures 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And I believe I did not tell you the measurement of the designer series paper. It was also 4 inches, but it's 5 3/8 tall. So 4 inches by 5 3/8, and this one is 4 inches by 5 1/4. So I'm going to put that on the inside. So that's our writing surface. And of course you can decorate the inside of your card with patterned paper to coordinate with the outside of your card. Lots of people like to do that. Sometimes I just like more writing space, and that's just a different way to do it. So then that's done. Okay, so then we get to do the sliding mechanism part. So for the sliding mechanism, I have a few things. This is one of the layered circle dies. It's around about 1.5 inches, I think. Yes, about 1.5 inches in diameter. And then we have, these are all of these bits. Oh, I'm actually missing a bit. All of these bits are cut from the, oh my goodness, my brain's not working very well. I'm sorry. What is it cut from? Poppy Moments dies. So these are all from the Poppy Moments dies. This is polished pink cardstock. This one is shimmer vellum. Look at that. Woo! So this is also polished pink. It's from the shimmer vellum in color pack. Then we have 2 leaves. One is granny apple green. The other is a little squished. Uh-oh, that's okay. That's just one of this. It's meant to be an accent on the leaf, but I kind of like using it as kind of just a skinnier leaf. So that's basic white. And then we have the little center that is rich razzleberry. And I don't seem to have the other one pre-cut, but I used another basic black center on the flower as well. Also cut from the Poppy Moments dies. And then we need Stampin Dimensionals. Now for this one, I'm going to use full-sized Stampin Dimensionals. I actually really like using the Paper Pumpkin Dimensionals for this because they're a little thicker, but they're the same size around, so you can use Stampin' Up! Dimensionals or Paper Pumpkins Dimensionals. So we're going to put 1 dimensional on our circle. Then we're going to pop it inside the hole of our slider mechanism part. And then we can take a 2nd dimensional and put it right beside the first. And that will help it to slide straight back and forth like that. And then we're going to slide that all the way to the left, peel off the backings, close our flap, and we're going to place our flower so that when it's slid all the way to the left, the flower will absolutely completely clear our flap. So that flap will open when the flower is all the way to the left. So we want to make sure, like so. And then when we slide it, whoops, then it locks and we're good to go with the decorating, right? How cool is that? Okay, so with the other one, let's just take a moment to try it with this one here. So with this one, again, we have, I'm just grabbing my papers here. Again, we have the layered circle die that's going to go underneath. So I can put a dimensional on there, same as I did before. But you can see there's quite a bit of space, and that's okay because we're going to just add, we're going to put a dimensional. We can use mini dimensionals for this as well. Let's see, I'll put 2 side by side like this, I think. I'm kind of just figuring this out. And then we just need one because this is too loose, right? We want to make sure that it's snug in there. So you have a couple of options. Cut a dimensional to, or dimensionals to fit. So cut off an edge, which is what I'm going to do. Or you could use, if I had used mini dimensionals, then I'd put 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom, which probably would have made more sense. But I'll just cut some dimensionals so that I can fill that space. And it's okay if it wiggles a little bit, we just don't want it to wiggle a lot. Oops. You can see it's got a little bit of wiggle, but that's okay. So then, same thing, peel off the back. Oops. Slide it all the way to the left. Close the mechanism. And I haven't used this angled cut yet, so we're gonna fiddle with it and make it fit. And then we can attach our flower. How do I want it? I don't know. Let's go like that. Oops, what did I do wrong? There we go. Okay, so then it slides to lock and slides to unlock. Same thing. Okay, so that's how you do it without that classic label punch. So then we go back to our other card, and I will carry on decorating this one with you. So we're going to add our Granny Apple Green leaf. I'm going to pick off the bottom section because of both of these actually. And then I'm going to use my Tombow liquid glue. The reason I took off that edge is because I want to make sure that our stem won't interfere with our mechanism underneath here. And then I can tuck that underneath my flower. And I could have put these on before I placed my flower, but I have a hard time knowing where. It would have been harder for me to place them, I think, not having the flower for guidance. This one's a little crumpled. There. And then we carry on with decorating the flower and putting our layers on. So we have these. I don't have the black circle, and I don't know that I want to take the time to, I can either find it or, well, let's pause for a second here. Okay, I have the black section as well. There we go. Okay, so I can glue our flower centers onto my flower. I like to see what direction it's going to go, so that just, it's going to go that way. So I don't know if that matters in the, it doesn't really matter because the flower pieces just go in the middle. So like that. And then I can use dimensionals on, or a dimensional, depending on what you have. If you have mini dimensionals, you might want to use more than one, but the dimensional can hide underneath the black center of the flower. And we can figure out which way this is supposed to go. There we go. Now I don't like to have it exactly lined up. I kind of like to shift it and give it a little bit of play there. Like that. You can actually also add some lift to the edge of that pink piece, which I didn't do at the beginning, and that would have been smart to do. But adding a little bit of lift here by curling it, I'll do it on a different one. By curling the edge with your bone folder. I'm kind of all over the place today, guys, sorry. Then you create a little bit of lift, and that will make that sliding back and forth over top of the flat piece a little bit more doable, a little smoother. So then you have your flap or your sliding mechanism. We're doing good. We're cooking with propane now. And then we have the last thing to do is to add the enamel, the clear and no silver and clear epoxy essentials. You know what they're called. Essentials, embellishments. I don't know what they're called, but I just put the 3 on. So I used the circle ones and I just put 3 on there. And then we have a cool slider card. So there you go. It's pretty quick, especially if you have the punch. The part that takes the most time is all this die cutting, really. So there you have it. I hope my being all over the place for my instructions wasn't too frustrating for you. And yeah, enjoy your new card that you just made. And thanks for watching.